What is going on, everybody? It is Tuesday night. We're almost to the end of the year, finally, thank God. We've got an awesome show tonight. We've got the Angry Artist on. I did want to touch base with everybody that is joining in. Roderick's doing better today. We had a little mishap yesterday. He turned blue, and it's usually not a good sign when you're a heart kid. What's going on, Jack? Thanks for joining in, buddy. So, uh, a lot of you seen the post yesterday. We had to run him to the hospital. The ambulance shed did an O2. They did the pulse oximeter and checked his oxygen level, and he was that was fine, but his EKG came back abnormal. So they said everything looked normal when he got to the hospital. It may be a fluke episode. This is like the third episode that we've had. The last one was September, and we had to pick him up at school. So hopefully we figure out what it is and we can get it taken care of. But Roderick's doing fine. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. I know everybody's been messaging today. I had a crazy day at work, so I wanted to get that out. So he's doing better. He's been sleeping most of the day today, so we can that's a good thing for him. So without further ado, I'll stop talking and we will bring out William Russell, the Angry Artist. How's it going,
What's
William?
going on, guys? What's up, man? Thank you so much for having me.
And we got Jack in here. Hey, Jack, what's going on?
I have to put my headphones on so I can hear you guys.
And then we've got Trish in here. What's going on, Trish? So, wanted to dive in tonight. You know, we see a lot of your rants and your crazy stuff. You know, going off on people on your live feeds. You know, and it's fun to watch. You know, it'll be in the middle of the day, and you know, it's like William Russell's live, and it's like, oh man, what did somebody do today? But I wanted to kind of delve deeper than that today. And what's going on, Armando? Hey, Heather. Hey, Cameron. Anger Knots in the house. We got whoa. We got Tara in here. Thanks, Armando. Mike is also with me. Henry Artist. I think spell check got you there. Angry Artist Russell. The one good thing about Roderick turning blue is he can't start singing that "I'm Blue" song. Oh, he can start. Get out of here. I'm blue. Get out of here. What's going on, Mike Wesolowski? So I wanted to delve deeper than, you know, just the Angry Artist. A lot of people don't know you chose the Angry Artist because you were hungry for art, and you didn't want to be called the Hungry Artist because that sounds retarded. So you're like, what can I come up with? And you're like, the Angry Artist. So everybody, you know, assumes from the live videos and stuff you do that it means you're mad all the time. But that's not the case.
No. I actually it was just a joke one day. I tend to being as busy as I am, which is a good problem to have. But usually the only time I would have a chance to go live and kind of chat with people and let them know what was going on is just driving to the post office to ship out art and stuff like that. So those videos, you know, every other day just kind of became these little rants about how bad the drivers are here, or just dealing with stupidity in general and just a lack of common sense today. And so, you know, someone was like, you know, like, why are you so angry? And, you know, made a joke out of it. And then I just like, you know what? To hell with it. I'm going to roll with that. That's what it's going to be. Because I like the idea of being angry about your art, being hungry for it in the sense of, you know, I've seen people, you know, when they get mad about something, you know, they just cannot let it go. And I think in my opinion, that's a good way to look at art. You need to treat it as something that you're just so passionate about that it's on that level of being angry, that you're just furious about, you know, succeeding. And I know that may sound a little weird, but like I said, I've seen people, you know, just get absolutely so angry about stuff and then chew on it for weeks on end, just can't let it go. And that's the way I think people should approach their passions. Is it needs to be something that they just cannot stop doing. And it actually, you know, as much as my rant videos are mostly about just kind of making people laugh and don't get me wrong, there's some people listening and watching that can't seem to separate the personality from you know, who I am in general. Now, do I get mad easy? Yes. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I have zero tolerance for disrespect and stupidity. And I do wish that more people in our community had that mindset, that they hold people to a higher standard of being respectful to one another instead of this. I've been doing this 3 years professionally now, and I think the community needs a wake up call. I think too many people sit back with kid gloves on. So a lot of the rants, I don't really ever name drop anyone. For one, it wouldn't do any good anyway. Nobody's going to listen. You can sit there and show all the proof in the world, and they're still going to be, well, they haven't messed me over yet. So I don't ever name drop anyone. The rant videos are usually just about topics, general topics about common sense, respect, not asking creators and artists for freebies and things like that. So it just kind of stuck. It started out as kind of a joke, and it just went, that's been it ever since. So.
No, and I totally understand that. So we had a show on, wasn't it was Saturday's show. So we had this whole huge joke about Wendy Steenshane and Christina Haggerty were on, and we had this show. And we were just talking about crazy stories, and we ended up telling the story about how we had pyrotechnics, and we had this box, and the box blew apart, and the tubes laid out, and then the mortars were shooting across the field at cows. And none of the cows got hurt, but we were, it was funny because here's these mortars shooting out, there's these exploding blue balls in the field. So it turned into a humongous joke. Like it filtered into like Sean Forney's feeds, Rodney Fike's feeds, Steph's feeds. Everybody was talking about exploding blue balls. And so Heather had approached me, and she was talking about, hey, I'm having looking for a few people to do book reviews. Do you have anybody in mind? I'm like, well, why don't you ask me? I'm like, I got it. We can call it Blue Balls Reviews, and I'll be Harry Sachs, the host, and it's funny. It'd be a parody thing, but we'll be serious about it, and we'll talk about books because I like to have fun. I like to joke around and stuff, but be serious. So Saturday we were on. My son woke up at while we were in the middle of the feed. My wife couldn't find the thermometer. I told her to run to Walgreens or Dollar General and go get one. And she went to send him back to his room. I was like, don't make him go sit by himself. He's not feeling good. Tell him to come in here and sit with me. So I said, hey, everybody, we're going to go PG for a bit. We can't talk about Lily the Demoness and the books. And, we can't talk about, joke around and stuff because he can read some words. So we're
Right.
going PG. He comes over and sits next to me. The next thing you know, Twitch is blowing up. I mean, D-bags left and right, talking crap about my son and just saying, ridiculous stuff. And I lost it. That's the first time anybody has ever seen me lose it on a feed. Like, we joke around. I can handle that. I
Yeah.
know people are not trying to be mean, but these people were downright just being mean. And I was
Hmm.
like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm like, hold on, guys. And I ended the Twitch stream. I'm like, I'm not even going to put up with it. And,
Yeah.
and I made the mistake of accidentally streaming this to Twitch tonight. So if I ask everybody to hang on for a second because I'm ending Twitch, the D-bags are back.
Yeah.
I meant
I
to
mean, you're
delete
going to
it.
get them because,
You're going to get them.
sadly, people have forgotten what it feels like to get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean, that's
exactly.
that's a, just a clear thing of what it is. And the other thing that's kind of strange is a lot of these people, and I don't mean to get on for us to get onto a negative
Yeah.
topic or anything,
No.
but I think it's time that a lot of people shed some light on this behavior. Not only is it unacceptable, no matter how you want to look at it, whether it's a joke going too far or whatever it is, there's certain things you can joke about and there's certain things you should. Period. There definitely should be a line in the sand. And there needs to be a zero tolerance for the disrespect, whether it's jumping on someone's feed, talking trash, distracting it from what it's supposed to be, making fun of someone's child, or even the person doing the hosting. There needs to be a zero tolerance, and it needs to be across the board, and it needs to be, it needs to be singled out when people do these things. People have to come forward. I mean, would you stand there and let someone bully someone that's standing next to you in a store, or And
Or if you're at a
if you
con,
are,
would
yeah,
you let
and if you
somebody
are,
talk
you're a
to an
piece of
artist?
shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you can white knight this shit up all you want on social media, but if you're going to stand there and not stand by your principles on it, there's something wrong with you. And a lot of it is people have forgotten what it's like to get punched in the mouth,
Yep.
and they're forgetting one major thing is they don't know who they're going to bump into at a convention.
That's right.
Because I mean, some of these guys are way beyond. I mean, like Deuce Wild, that guy's the only name I'll ever drop out of all the things that's happened. Which luckily I can count on one hand out of 3 years of the BS I've had to deal with from over jealous artists who tried to slander me and stuff like that, who's never dealt with me, never had a conversation with me, but for whatever reason some people just can't stand the idea of someone else shining a little brighter than they are. And so, he's a person that had made the comment, once about, he got mad because I called him out on poor shipping, and he told me that, he hoped my daughter, something happened to her.
Oh
So,
my
I mean, oh
gosh.
yeah, that dude's, and there's a lot of you guys that are listening to this right now that are still friends with Deuce Wild. It blows my mind. But, but where the zero tolerance has to come from.
My iPad's broke. I can't get in the back office.
Go ahead. You're fine.
All right.
What do you
Uh,
need?
My computer out of the bag. Just give me the bag.
Oh,
You can hand me the
But
whole
where
bag.
the zero tolerance has to come from is not just sitting here saying, "Oh, you can't behave that way." It has to be when they do it and someone shows proof that they've done that. There needs to be a block thing that goes across the board. Because people saying that about your son or saying that about your show or anything like that, if it's there just has to be a zero tolerance
well,
with it,
and the
and I
thing
don't understand
is
why it can't be.
yeah, and well, the thing is if you're going to get on somebody's show and you're going to do that, if you don't like the show, don't watch it.
Yeah,
There are people here that are here to listen to what you have to say tonight, and if people would jump on and do that,
yeah,
that's rude. Go find something else that you enjoy doing. But no, I agree. You always get this when somebody buys art and they are buys books. They get on the uh, no payers list, on the
yeah.
non-payer list, and they
Hmm.
get blasted all over the internet.
Yep.
And then people are like, all right, we're not doing business with them. But it doesn't happen with sellers and artists and people that do the same shady stuff on the
Yeah.
opposite end of the spectrum. And I agree, there needs to be a change. There needs to be, everybody needs to just stop what they're doing and stop doing any business with them and let them either A, make up for the wrongs they've done and change, or just go away so we don't
Yep.
have all this stuff going on in the background.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's so much, and I know you guys are wanting to talk art and stuff like that, but there's a handful of you guys out there who do proper podcasts, who are doing it because you want to interview people.
Yeah.
You want to talk to the creators and the artists and etc. And you're not looking for handouts and stuff like that. I mean, dude, I've had so many podcasts send me messages, want me on their show, and then when I tell them, sure, no problem, man, just let me know when you want it to happen, and I'll make time. Okay, well, the only thing we ask is every artist that comes on the show gives us free art. Okay, wait a minute. You got 10 people that come in your channel, and you want me to give you a $200 piece of art for 30 minutes of your showtime?
Well, and here's the thing,
No.
I don't care if there's 100,000 people, there's 10 million people on the podcast. The thing is you're there to learn about the artist.
Yeah.
That's part of what my show is. My show, Russ Explode Studios Books with Heart, it was never meant to be. It was just I had Wendy Steenshaner and Ed Williams, some of the artists for the book that I've got on Kickstarter right now, that I wanted to promote them. I said, I love the work that you do. You did a piece for the book. I want to, return the favor and help promote your stuff. And so I had them on, and I had people start
Yeah.
messaging me, hey, when can I be on your show? And I'm like, well, it's not a show. And so it ended up turning into a show. I've been doing it
Yeah.
for 9 months now on Sundays and Tuesdays. And, and it's fun. It's great. I love getting you guys on here. What inspires you to do art? Who inspired you?
Hmm.
You don't get the sit down time at the cons to talk to the artists or talk to the
No, not really.
creators because they got lines. They don't have time to talk to you. But to have you on here, people can
Hmm.
ask whatever questions they want to ask, and they can hear and get to know a little bit more about the angry artist besides the rants and stuff, and so it's about inspirations. And that was kind of one of my first questions that I wanted to ask you is, what was your inspiration and when did you first start getting into art?
Ooh, we. Well, I mean, I've been drawing since I was probably 5 or 6 years old. I drew real heavy in junior high, like most people who did. Being a kid that was kind of an outcast that didn't really hang around people and stuff like that. I had my little group of friends, and that was about it. And so we used to draw a lot during that time. And then high school, I drew a little bit then, and then once I got into adulthood and started having my children and stuff like that, and married, it got to where I might draw once every 3 or 4 months, and then about 4.5 years ago, I finally decided that I want to do art. I'm not going to let anyone talk me out of it this time. Um, there's no reason for me not to be able to do it. And so I made that decision at that point to start doing it. Matter of fact, after seeing a video from Jim Lee talking about 24 hours a day and the time frames that people BS themselves into with this fake ass excuse, I don't have time.
Yep.
Because I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm probably going to hurt somebody's feelings, I'm sure. Um, the excuse, no matter what your passion is, no matter what you're wanting to do, whether it's art, music, whatever, this bullshit ass excuse, you don't have time, is the largest crock of shit I've ever heard in my life. Excuse my language. And I can say that because I made that excuse for a long time.
The same here.
And yeah, and it's BS, because when you sit down and you think of a 24-hour day and you think of it honestly, we all end up with around 2 to 4 hours a night that we're twiddling our thumbs. So, and I, like I said, I can say that and I can be honest with that about that now, because I lied to myself for decades making that excuse. Oh, I've worked all day today. I'm exhausted. I don't have time. I got to go home and do this and this. Bull crap. Get off PS4 and you can do art. Stop surfing Facebook, arguing with somebody over some political BS that neither one of you know nothing about,
Or
and you
gonna
can have time
win.
to do art. Or going to win, that's for sure. You're not going to change no one's mind. I don't know why people still have that argument.
Never.
So that, I made that decision after talking to Jim, 4.5 years ago, and I took uh, a year straight, and I set aside 3 to 4 hours every single night, 7 days a week, and I drew that entire year while working, of course, my other career. And then I said, okay, I think I can handle the workload right now. I think I can handle what I need to do to move forward. So I started putting myself on social media while continuing to work my other job, my other career, and I did that for another year. And then I was like, okay, now I'm doing 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, and another 8 hours a day on Sundays. I was like, I can't keep this pattern up anymore. It's time to walk away. So I walked away from my almost six-figure income to do this, and I definitely don't regret it. I've been drawing for 3 years straight now professionally with tons of covers. Well, not tons, but plenty of covers. I usually do anywhere between 300 to 360 commissions a year. That's what I averaged last year and the year before, and I'm on par right now for that this year, about 365 this year. And that's not counting the cover jobs. So I've been extremely busy. So that's been awesome. The anger knots have been absolutely incredible. I probably have, in my personal opinion, probably one of the best following of people that I've seen anybody have. These guys are passionate. They can tolerate my BS some days because I can be a bit too blunt, way too opinionated. And so that's what got me back into it, and that's what's kept me into it. As far as like artist influences, man, definitely Jim Lee, huge influence. He's probably the only artist I would ever fanboy over, because the rest of them, I don't see them any different than me. I don't do the pedestal game. Sorry, I it just doesn't do that for me anymore. Probably years of working in the casino world and seeing everything from musicians to politicians to actors. Nobody shocks me anymore. So, but Jim Lee's probably the one I'd probably sit there and like, just giggle and shit just because Jim Lee's standing right there. But that's also because of who he is as a person. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever met Jim or they've watched his videos, the way he talks to fans and the way, even though he's this incredibly large name in the comic world, I mean, he changed the industry along with Image and those guys. He still treats fans like he knows they're the ones who helped put him there.
Yep.
That, yeah, his hard work and his determination made him who he is, but the fans is what has, kept him up high. And I think that's because of how he treats them. But David Finch is another big one. Mark Silvestri, and I've met those guys before. Met David a couple times. Super, super sweet guy. Um, Dude, you wouldn't have to pay me. I guarantee you, I'd probably almost hump his leg. But and Jim Lee's my grail. That's who I want, a sketch from eventually. But that one will probably never happen because sadly I can't bring myself to pay $5,000 for a sketch. And that's like the low end. Like he's probably drunk, when he gave you that sketch.
Yeah.
Um, but those guys, and probably one of the other ones I think's been a big influence to me, even though I only met her like 3 years ago or really heard about her as far as a person, and that's Donna T. That has got to be one of the sweetest people walking the planet, and one of the most humble artists I've ever met. But that's the main influences for me right now.
Yeah, Dawn McTagg is amazing. I met her at C2E2 last year, and we talked for a while. And, it was really funny. We started the conversation out with the Vampirella Valentine's Day that she did last year. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, Dawn, I love your cover. I'm like, there's hardly ever a Vampirella booty cover. And, like, this is, like, the greatest grail of all booty covers of Vampirella. And she laughed, and she goes, I know. She goes, I love doing booty covers, but nobody ever lets me do them. So whenever they commissioned this piece for Vampirella Valentine's Day, they were like, you can do whatever you want. She's like, I'm going to do it. And she's like, I really appreciate you noticing that and liking it. She's like, you need to tell them that so I can do more covers like that.
Yeah. Dawn is just, I don't know. There's just not enough nice things you can say about Dawn.
No, there's not.
Dawn if you've got questions, she'll take the time to answer them for you, in PMs and whatnot.
Or even during the live shows.
Yep.
Like
yeah. She'll definitely do it during live shows. She'll tell you what tools she's using.
Yep.
What techniques
where you can buy it from.
Yeah, exactly. And I know a lot of people listening to this might be like, well, that's not really that big a deal. Yeah, actually,
it is.
Because most artists, when you watch them live, I have personally seen artists hide the logos on their markers or pens or whatever instruments they're using, like whiteout tools and stuff like that. They will actually hide the logos so you don't know what it is and where they got it.
Yeah, because then it wants you to be able to be on their level and use the same stuff. But that, with her, she doesn't mind that. She wants to help people get there because that's what we're here to do. We're the art community, we're the comic community. We need to help each other grow. It's not, I'm going to be better than you. We need to treat each other as equals.
And that needs a hardcore ass wake up call.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna talk grown for a minute. There's a lot of people in this industry, from creators down to artists, who love to talk that unity stuff and uplifting one another. And they don't lift nothing but themselves or their little 2-3 man buddy group. So they preach it, but they do not walk it. So that needs to be a hardcore come to Jesus moment in our community, because I don't care how good you are, how talented you are, how popular you are. You cannot physically get all the business. So there's literally no reason for any of us to not be uplifting one another, not be cross promoting one another. If I take money out of my damn pocket and I put it into your Kickstarter, and there's no reason for you not to turn around and do it the same for the person that just did that. Whether you buy their exclusive that they did or you took part in their Kickstarter. If they're spending money on you, you can take that same money that they gave you and invest it back into them. All you're doing is trading money. It's not like you're out of pocket. And a lot of people love to talk that, and all it is, they're talking it because they want you to share. They want you to like. They want you to buy into their product.
I
And
share
it
so much
needs
stuff.
to be a hallelujah moment.
I get put on comment bans all the time. So yeah, and that's the thing. I don't ever not share people's stuff. The only reason I don't share anybody's stuff is A, I don't know about it.
Yeah.
B, they don't come to me and say, "Hey, I got this project. Can I be on your show?" I've been brought. That's the thing that's been really hard for me is I've been broadcasting out there. Hey, I want to get on and talk about your project, talk about you, so people can get to know you. Does anybody have a project going on? And I'll get like one person
Yeah.
out of like 1,000 people in the group
Right. But
that'll
that's
comment.
not you though. That's not you, like anything negative on you. And again, I know we can't all share everything. I mean, I'm on
Yeah,
Facebook a couple times a day when I'm posting new artist stuff, and if I see something that crosses my news feed, I'll try to share that. Now, it's a little different when it's a full-time creator, artist, writer, whatever,
yeah,
who is spending 10 hours a day doing their craft, jumping on Facebook and only being able to share one or two things. And the same goes with you guys who do these podcasts and you work a full-time job and you're trying to get your shows ready. You may not be able to do it. But we're not talking about the 1 or 2% of us who live this. That, I'm talking about the people who are too busy arguing their political views, too busy arguing their religious views, too busy sharing dumb ass memes all day long when they could be sharing other art. Or those people, when we spend our time and money to promote their Kickstarter, they can show us the love in return. Because in the last 2 years, I have probably backed 30 Kickstarters in the last 2 years, and that's not counting any of the big Kickstarters. Just people that I see that's on my friends list that's got a Kickstarter, I'll grab a tier, and then of course some of those Kickstarters I've done covers for, I've done exclusive prints for, and like I said, and that's the thing is it hurts a little bit when you spend your money. Now I'm not talking about being part of the project. When I go to your Kickstarter and it's got nothing to do with me, and I buy a tier into your Kickstarter, then I turn around a month or two later and I've got a cover that comes out and you don't even bother to at least share it. That needs to change. Like I said, so many people want to preach the unity thing and the brotherhood or sisterhood or however you want to look at it, but they don't do it. And it's insane because, like I said, there's enough room out in social media world for your podcast, everyone else's podcast, and the same with every other artist. There's plenty of room for all of us. We don't have to talk trash on one another.
yeah.
Now, don't
No,
get
and
me
that's
wrong.
what
If somebody
playback's
did
for.
something really wrong with proof, then you should tell people, in my opinion. Whether you name drop or not, it still needs to be brought to the light if someone did something with proof, not hearsay. So, I really do wish people would wake up to that. There's enough space for all of us. We don't have to do that crap.
Well, and I happened to chance upon getting a good group of creators. I mean, they're all awesome. Everyone that was a part of my project and is a part of the groups that have been sharing my stuff, you know, they're great. And it's the golden rule: a share is worth its weight in gold. Because
Hmm.
even if you don't have the money, we all can't afford to back
Yeah.
Kickstarters. We all can't afford to kick into each one of them. But if you share it, you may have a friend that backs it. Then they
Hmm.
share it, and then they have a friend that backs it,
Yep.
and it's like a never ending train. And it's so bad now these days with Facebook and all these social media platforms changing their rules and the way you can share things and the algorithms. And it's like
Yep.
I've shared stuff my book to like 40 pages and I might get like one like, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I know from the
Excuse me.
it gives you the how many people have seen it,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, I
That
know more
hurts.
people. Yeah. Well, and it's like, okay, 3,200 people have seen
And
this
you
post.
see who it is that's seen it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And it's the group, of people that I know that are really good about sharing. And it's like, the people on the pages that are like, "Oh yeah, I'll share your book on here so I can share
Yep.
it out." And then you put it on there and then like it's like, "Okay, what happened?" But I mean, it is what it is. We can't change, how some people are,
No. And
unfortunately.
then the algorithms are terrible since last May. Facebook changed their algorithms. So like taggings aren't working,
Exactly.
notifications aren't working, which means So what I tell people now is don't sit back and wait for a notification. Don't sit back and wait for a tag. Kind of, if you're friends with a creator, friends with an artist or a writer, maybe once a week, jump over to their page and kind of scroll through, see if you see anything that catches your eye. If so, then share it. So we kind of almost have to start babysitting one another's page,
Yeah,
because of it.
pretty much.
Trish, I'm an artist only. I don't write. My daughters write, but but I don't. And if
Yeah, and
everything
your one
goes
daughter
good,
paints.
well, actually, all four of my daughters. Three of my daughters have sold commissions, and two of my daughters have had their senior artwork hung in the Mississippi Museum of Art. So yeah, they're pretty talented. I think they got more talent than I got. Um, but yeah, I don't do any writing. I wish I could. I'm sure I probably could if I put my mind to it, but right now I'm so hammered. I don't even have time to do like page work. Like I've had a lot of people request me to do page layouts and stuff like that, and I just don't have time for it. And to be fair, I don't really want to do it either, just because I have not had enough experience in doing it, and I am not going to put out half booty work. So, and I think a lot of people tend to, oh, I can draw, so yeah, I can draw a comic page. No, that's a whole different beast. Um, let's see. Um, oh, I don't know. Let's see. All right, current projects that are going on right now. I just finished laying pencils for a big title today. Sadly, I cannot tell you what it is, but the pencils are finished on it. I've sent them over to the company for approval, and that'll be as long as they approve that and don't make any changes, I'll move on to ink, and that's going to be a 500 print run book. It's a very popular character, very well known character, very well loved character. Sadly, that's about it for that information, because I can't give any more than that. Then I've got another cover that's coming out um, for another exclusive. Sadly, I can't tell you guys about that one either. And then I've got another exclusive that's going to be going into pencils here in the next week. And sadly, I can't tell you guys about that one.
And the last one you did
As
was what, the Cult of Dracula?
Yep. I did Cult of Dracula. I did the Top End Gaming exclusive for both number one and number two. So those books are, as far as number one sold out completely. Was it 300 print? It was 150 trade dress, 150 virgin. And so that one sold out relatively quick. I don't know if there's any copies of number two left. You would have to check with Top End Gaming and Kevin Johnson to find out if there are any left. I've got one mystery box left. I'm trying to decide if I want to raffle that one. Yeah, the mystery box is sold out. Jesus, I did 10 of them, and 7 of them sold out in the first day and a half. And then the last two, I didn't even put those up for sale. I raffled them off so everyone could kind of have a chance to win one. And for anyone that doesn't know what a mystery box is for an artist, we take a box and we fill it up with tons of goodies. Oh, wow, you're showing old pictures. Good Lord.
Hey, that's the
Uh,
first thing that popped up on Instagram.
um, so the mystery boxes are full of it's got original art in it. It has some of my signed covers in it that I've done. It has signed prints and just tons of other goodies. And I went big this year. The mystery boxes I did this year, $450 worth of content in them for $300. And mine aren't like imaginary $450 content. Mine are literally, you can sit down and add it up for what my prices are. They're $450 worth of content for $300. I personally look at mystery boxes is not a way for someone to make money. I think it's a way to give back to the people that have supported you all year long by giving them a chance to buy something like that. And they're getting out more out of it than what they're putting into it, which is why I only do mystery boxes usually once a year. Um, Hey Trish, on the mystery boxes, like I said, I've got one left, and I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna raffle it or if I'm gonna sell it straight out. If somebody wants to buy it straight out, you're welcome to PM me tonight, and it's yours. Most of them are already mailed out to clients, um, and one of the mystery boxes had a random metal print put in them too. Matter of fact, it's I think it was the Ghost Rider metal print I randomly put in one of the boxes. Well, I had one of my friends randomly put it in the box, but I just hope like heck whoever gets it opens the dang thing live. But
Well, that's one thing that I've started doing now. Like anytime I get a package now, I do a live unboxing because it's not, a lot of people don't get to see the stuff.
yep,
One, you see it on the Kickstarter, you see that it goes up there, oh, hey, I'm offering this. And like, you
yep,
don't ever really see anybody that buys the stuff. And so, especially when I got the original art for Xeno Nanite Titan, I just wanted to show off a couple pieces. I'm going to close out of this.
no, no, you're fine.
And so, one of the things that, I like to do now is to do live unboxings just for the simple fact of,
Hmm.
check out the art that this artist spent
Yep,
8 hours slaving over. Look at how
because
badass it is.
that's something else that's kind of odd that I've noticed in 3 years of doing this. I've seen people spend $500 with me for a commission, 300, 400, 500, get the art in, and they never post it. And I'm like, man, I post everything I get from an artist at a con. I'm like, how do you guys not post? Um, Cover my mouth and tell it. The company, the one that I'm doing right now that I just did the pencils for today, even it's definitely one of them on my bucket list. It was someone I grew up with through the 80s and 90s. So that one's definitely on my bucket list. My big bucket list was what was supposed to happen last month, and sadly, that's the way our world works. I had someone, people that came to me want me to do an exclusive for them. They
Hey,
sent
you
my
too.
artwork. Mail call. They sent my artwork to Marvel. I got approved for Marvel. I got a list from them of books that they wanted that I could choose from to do. One of them was a Venom cover. One of them was a Thor cover. And so I ended up picking the Venom cover and was getting ready to do the artwork and everything for it. I'd already been approved. The NDAs had already been agreed on and signed and whatnot. And sadly, the guys I was going to be doing that for fell out. So that was definitely my like big time grail list for sure. Sadly, one of the guys apparently was stealing money from the other one and they fell out. So that's one of the reasons I try not to count my, eggs, so to speak, before everything's done, because things can fall out even after approval. Um,
Yep. Yeah, and that's a lot of the right why even if you don't have a non-disclosure agreement or the NDA, that
yeah.
you don't really talk about it because
Nope.
as a creator, if you're like, oh yeah, I got this huge big name
Yep.
artist that's going to do this awesome cover for my book, and you tell everybody about it, and then something
Yep.
happens that they're like, I'm sorry, I can't do this, and then you look,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like,
That one
then you
that one
gotta,
broke my
ex-
heart because Venom is 100% my wheelhouse. Feel free to see if you can find one of my Venoms and put it up. But Venom and the Bat Who Laughs are the number one characters that I get asked to draw the most. And when they came to me and said, "Hey, we want to do an exclusive with you. We want to go through Marvel. Can you send us some of your most recent artwork so we can show it to them and see if we can get you approved as an artist?" And I was like, "Man, dude, heck yeah!" And they sent it to them, and then the list came back. It was like three different books that they gave me the choice I could do a cover for. And one of them was that new Venom, Web of Venom or something, that new #1 that was coming. I was like, oh hell yes. And they approved it, and the bottom fell out. Which, I mean, it's understandable because like with DC and Marvel, especially like with Marvel, in order to do something with them, you got to do a 3,000 print run. And then so now you're talking $12,000-15,000 just to do the books. You're out of your own pocket or whoever's doing it. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. But yeah, the one I'm doing right now is definitely one of the my to-do list characters for sure. Um, the other two covers are pretty cool. I'm excited about them too. And actually, one of the covers that I'm going to be doing, because I'm one of those stubborn people. I like being able to have my name on something also. So I've talked to the guy who creates the book and about me doing my own cover for him and it having the custom creation Angry Artist logo on it. So I'm
That's
going
an
to be.
awesome wraparound there.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's actually on the back of my vehicle too. Um, so I'm going to be doing a cover that's going to be a custom creations cover, logoed cover also. So it's going to be 100% out of my pocket, but it's going to have nothing but the Angry Artist and the custom creations logo on it. So I'm super excited about that one too.
This one, I love it. That's funny. But yeah, no, going back to what you said earlier about people making time for stuff. So, that
Hmm.
really hits home with me because you know, that's part of what happened with me. And kudos to you for having the discipline to set aside 1 to 2 hours to draw every day for weeks and weeks on end drawing. But, part of mine was, having the mind jumble when, Roderick was born. He had to have his open heart surgery at a week old. I couldn't get my head in the game. And then we had stuff after stuff after stuff. And then after all that had happened, that's what became, kind of my excuse is I don't have time for that. I got kids
Hmm.
now and I got this and that. And if you're passionate, it eats away at you. And it did. It's eaten away at me for so long. It's like, I need to do this. I need to do this. And it's like you push it aside. It's like, oh, that's not what it
Yep.
is. And then it's like you're like, all right, I'm going to put this aside the time to do this. And it was kind of forced with me because, the whole cancer diagnosis back in January. And I'm like, all right, I'm doing this. This may be the last thing I ever do. And I regret not doing it, but I'm going to do it. And I set aside the time. And it's like, I realized how much I missed it and I love doing it. And it's like, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. And I made time every day. I sat down, I wrote, I went back and I did edits. And I at least every day I did something to do with the book. And so it's really funny that you hit on that point when, I asked you about inspirations because honest to God, last night somebody messaged me and was like, hey, I really like, the work that I read that was on your Kickstarter. He's like, I'm thinking about making a comic. What do what are some things that you suggest? And I was like, don't give up. Believe in yourself.
Hmm.
Don't make the excuse that you don't have time to work on it. And that was exactly what I said to him.
Yep.
I said, don't make excuses that you don't have time. Make time, do it, get it done,
Yeah.
be proud of it, and put it out there. And so he's like,
Yeah.
thanks, man. I really
It's
appreciate it. I'm like, outside of that, I don't really have any advice.
and then, I mean that's where it needs to be. I mean because um, I'm sorry, man. I don't get me wrong. I understand that some things can happen and you may not can work on it today, or something could happen and you may not be able to work on it this weekend. I get that. But on the day to day, for the majority of people's lives who just continues to roll on, it's bull crap. It's straight
Yeah.
up BS that you claim you don't have time. Stop
Yeah.
surfing Facebook.
If you
Stop
don't make
playing the
time, you're not
Xbox.
passionate about it,
Yeah, it's an excuse, is what it is. It's a straight up way for you to. It's a straight up way for you to justify being lazy.
Well, and a lot of that is imposter syndrome too. Imposter syndrome comes into play with that because you doubt yourself. You
Yeah.
sit there and you look at the work that you've done. You're like, oh, nobody likes this. And it's like, you can't give up. You got to keep pushing.
Hmm.
Maybe now is not the right time. Try again. Like with my
Yep.
Kickstarter. I've got less than 2 days left on it, and I'm at 47% funded.
Yeah.
I've shared the shit out of it. Everybody that was a part of the project and all my friends have shared the shit out of it, and it's just not the right time for it. Does it mean I'm going to give up? No, because I'm passionate as hell about this book. So come next year when people start getting their jobs back and hopefully this vaccine works and things get back to normal and tax time hits and people are back up on their feet again and they're
Yeah.
working, we're going to shoot it out there again and we're going to make this happen. Because I'll tell you what, it'll be on Kickstarter 15 times if it fails. I'm still going to keep doing it.
Yeah. I mean,
And
there's no reason to stop. I mean,
no.
I think a lot of people, and talking about imposter syndrome, I think people really need to hang that excuse up too. Sorry. They need to hang up that I don't have time. They need to hang up that I'm not good enough. They need to hang up all, because I post my art and I share it to tons of crew. I don't care if anybody likes it. A lot of people are, oh, I posted this piece of art. It only got 3 likes. It's been up for 4 days. Why are you babysitting it? Stop
Yeah.
looking for
If you
likes.
like it,
Do
then
your
that's all
work
that
and put it
matters.
out there. Yeah, that's it. I don't care. I don't want critiques. I don't ask for critiques. If you critique something I post, I'll probably block you because I didn't ask you for it, and you need to learn how to shut the hell up unless people are asking you for your advice or your opinion. I don't comment on anybody's stuff. I don't, whether it's political, whether it's religious, whether it's art. I sit back in my little world and I mind my business, and a lot of people need to learn how to do that. Because that's one, and the reason I'm kind of going to that subject is that's one of the main things I see on these art groups that I'm in is I see these new artists who are still kind of looking for the approvals and looking for the likes instead of just sharing and being proud of what they created. They're still kind of fishing for the somebody like me thing. And you got to stop that because there's going to be people that are going to troll your post. There are going to be people that aren't going to like your art just because they don't like it. Art is very subjective.
I'm proud of my art. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
and exactly. And there's probably people that would have a field day with that. Dude, you could probably turn that into something. That's one of the great things about art. There's room for it all. It does not have to be Jim Lee or David Finch or even me or anybody else in my lane. I mean, it can be anything. I mean, it can be kiddie style, like, what's that dude's name? Scotty Young or whatever his
Yeah,
name
Scotty
is.
Young.
The guy who got that idea from Todd McFarlane. But anyway, so I mean, it can be that. There's room for everything. So, don't look for likes. Just share your art, be proud of it, and then the people that want to open their mouth or talk negative, don't even entertain them. Just block and roll. And because once you get to that point to where you're not looking for approvals and you're not fishing for likes, you'll be able to fly through your art. You'll be able to correct yourself on things you're having issues with because then you're concentrating on the art and not people's opinions. So I think once you get to that, and somebody asked something about company.
Yeah, what
I haven't
major
worked
comic
for
company?
I haven't worked
Louis.
for any of the big threes yet. And sadly, part of that's my own fault because I've been so busy over the last 3 years. I haven't taken the time to sit down and do proper portfolios to send to those. And sadly, when it comes to the exclusive world, there tends to be a lot of politics in it too. There tends to be some shady stuff. And now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great people too. But it can be very political. It can be very, well, I've got these 5 people and that's all I want to deal with kind of world. And that's understandable too. I don't have a problem with people being loyal. I think more people could probably learn from that. But hang on one second. Why is that? Make sure that cord looks like it's bending. Let me fix that. Hold on. Okay. So, but a lot of that's my own fault because I haven't taken the time to send out portfolios and stuff. And, most of the time those people will very seldom find you on social media because of it being as, weird as it can be with posts and algorithms and all of that. And I'm sure most of the time, they're not sitting back looking. And I know I saw an interview, was it Jim or somebody, one of the DC guys had a panel at one of the cons, and DC's actually they're not even taking portfolios. And then Marvel, you can send stuff to them, and they'll eventually get to it, kind of thing. So but I'm cool with that. I mean, do I eventually want to do one for the big three? Oh, hell yeah, every artist does. Um, if I had my way, my grail is I want a Bat Who Laughs cover so damn bad, or a Venom. So that's the two I would love to do: a Venom cover for Marvel, or Bat Who Laughs for DC, or Batman just in general for DC. But you're talking, that's a process. You got to pay your dues. You got to earn your time. And I mean, I personally think I've done really well for 3 years in. 3 years in, I've got one, two, three, four, five published covers, two published prints for Kickstarters, and now I've got one of the bigger titles that I'm doing a cover for right now. If nothing, of course, falls through, and then I've got two other covers that are, so I got three more in the works. So I think that's really good for 3 years in.
Yeah, and then you also had the I know you did the Cult of Dracula, and then you had the cover you did for Wendy Steenshainer's Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassin Swimsuit Edition.
Yeah, I did the cover for Steph. I did Aeonian #2. I did an exclusive for that book. Then I did Naughty Fairy Assassins exclusive. Then I did the Don't Pay the Ferryman #2 exclusive. I did the exclusive print for their #1 also, but I did the cover for #2. And I'm supposed to be doing an upcoming cover for Chris Hayes also on a new book that he's writing. And then I did the Cult of Dracula 1 and 2. And let's see what else. And then, of course, I also just did an exclusive print for Nightwolf Kickstarter, which is fully funded. Sadly, he already had his cover guys, but he wanted me to do a print for it. Now I'm supposed to be doing a cover for his next issue. So lots going on. Definitely lots going on. What process do I have to order to become a CGC recognized artist? You talk to them.
And you fill out the paperwork and you wait. It could be
Yep.
a week. It could be 6 months. I've heard
Yep.
both ends of the fence. You just
Yep.
fill it out and send it in, and one day you'll get a letter stating that you
You're
can
approved.
submit your own art.
Yeah. Mine, when I first, I'm registered with both of them. I'm registered with CGC and CBCS. The first 6 months I was doing this, I was doing CBCS. And then I switched over to CGC. But when I did mine, I sent them a letter, told them who I was, gave them my website information, sent them a couple of examples of my photos, my art. And within a week, I got an email back saying I was approved. And then sadly, I've heard of other artists that have taken a year or more to get approved. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Yeah, I've done Violator. Yeah, matter of fact, I've got to do another one. I've got to finish the skateboard. Doing this custom skateboard right now. Just did this side with Spawn, and I've got to do the back side with Violator. So I just did this.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, I've done Violator. All right. So what other questions we got in the crazy people
Hey, Andy.
audience? What's up, Andy? Yeah, I mean, that's the way it is with any big company. I mean, it does help if you know people. You know, that's just the way it is.
And that's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I don't take it, I don't take it personal. I don't sit back and stress about it because I'll eventually get there. There's no doubt about it. I'm too damn stubborn not to get it. I've been doing this 3 years, and it's been my sole income for 3 years. And I'm not going anywhere. So I'll eventually get my DC cover. You can bet money on that.
So you talked about Jim Lee. Mm-hmm. Who else, what's one of the biggest, artists, creators that you would love to meet? Aside from the ones you've already met.
Definitely him. But, Stan Lee was one. I know he's not a artist or anything, but Stan Lee's, I'm still kicking myself in the ass over the Stan Lee. Because about 8 months or so before he passed, he was actually in New Orleans at Wizard World, and I didn't go. I talked myself out of it because I was so behind on commissions and stuff like that, and I didn't go. And so that's the one, I really wish I had made time for. The other one, what's up, Gina? Um, the other one, a lot of people want to talk trash on him, but Neil Adams, Neil Adams is definitely one I want to meet. A lot of people give Neil shit, and I think that's just because some of you are too soft in the britches. Sorry. You guys should grow a little thicker skin. Neil is definitely one of those guys that will tell you how it is, and he doesn't care whether you like the answer or not. And I personally like that. You know where you stand with Neil. And I've seen his interviews. I've seen, his con visits where he's talking to people, and I personally don't see a problem with him. So Neil is definitely one I would love to meet.
I would love to meet Neil
Bernie,
Adams too.
yeah, Bernie Wrightson was the other one that was on my grill, and sadly, same thing happened with him. He was supposed to be at Memphis Con one year, a long time ago, and then he got sick and had to cancel that show. And then about a year later, he passed away. So Bernie Wrightson's definitely one of the other ones I would have loved to have met. Nope.
Yeah,
And I think that's why I like Neil so much, is because, again, I think too many people walk around with kid gloves on, man. A little hardcore. I'm not saying be mean to people. I don't mean it that way, but I think being honest and being blunt sometimes, you need
it's
a little
better
wake
than
up.
lying. Yeah.
I'd rather you stand there and tell me you don't like me or whatever. Dude, I'll respect you till the cows come home. But if you sit there and you kiss my ass in front of me, and then you walk behind my back and you talk trash and try to smear my name, I got zero respect for you. So, I mean, you not like me at all, and I'm cool with that as long as you're respectful. And I think that's why a lot of people get upset with Neil. They think he's going to sugarcoat stuff, but
Yeah.
Neil's definitely one I would love to sit with and just hear stories. That would be an incredible day. I'm trying to read some of your chat stuff, but
Yeah, no, it's every once in a while. Yeah, StreamYard's been getting behind in the comments.
I
There
can't
won't be
see any of the comments on StreamYard.
Oh, you
I'm having to
can't.
look on my phone.
I got you. Yeah, well,
So
what'll
that's why I
happen
keep
is,
looking down.
you'll get a comment dump out of nowhere. Like, you'll be like, "Why is nobody commenting?" And all of a sudden, it's like 20 of them. It goes, boom. It's like, holy crap!
Apparently, you can't. Is there no way to see the chat while I'm
Not when
looking at
you're
the camera?
not when you're a guest. If you're on your phone, if you're on your computer, you can see it. But as a
Well, I'm
guest,
on
you
my
have
tablet.
you have to hit chat, but then it blocks out the video. And you
Blocks the
can't
whole
see
thing.
it.
Okay, all right. I was just making sure it wasn't
Yeah,
weird on my end.
I do the same
Well,
thing when I join. I'll have the video up on another one so I can see the comments.
Well, what about? I mean, what about you? Who's your Grail person that you would like to meet that you haven't met yet?
I'd like to meet Buzz and Neil, definitely. You know, they're two of the. Neil's
Buzz
awesome. Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Aldrin?
Yeah, no, no. I would love to meet Buzz, man. His Vampirella covers. I just
Yeah.
recently friended him, and he's been showing off some of the newer Vampirella covers he's been doing. Joseph Michael Linsner, that's another one I'd like to meet. You know, his
Yeah, that'd be a cool one.
Dawn and Cry for Dawn and all those
Mhm.
series are really big in my book, and I absolutely love them. And even the Vampirella Dawn crossover covers that he's done have just been phenomenal. And I was fortunate enough to be able to pick up some of his con exclusives of
Nice.
Dawn and Vampirella. But I would love to meet him as well, you know, and that's what sucks with all this stuff shutting down. You know, I had plans to go to these cons
Yep.
and try to meet these people and get them. And it's like, you know, Neil Adams isn't getting any younger, and it's like, if the cons don't start back up again, we may lose chances to meet a lot of people. We've been losing people left and right over the last couple of months, and it's a shame. But that I would definitely say
Thank
Buzz.
you, Mike. I appreciate it.
I would definitely say Buzz is one of my big ones, and like I said, Joseph Michael Linsner, I'd like to meet him, and Todd McFarlane's one, and then the other one that I would like to meet.
Todd, yes.
Yeah, I'd love to meet him, and just the last documentary he did, The Hell I Won't.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just amazing. You know, his story about how, you know, they're like, "Oh no, we don't like this. You can't do it this way." Yada
Mhm.
yada yada. And he's like, "Fuck you. I'm gonna go do it the way I
Yep.
want to do it."
Yeah, I mean, dude, I
And
get that now. I'll tell people will send me messages every so often telling me, oh, you can't draw, this way, or you can't do this type of cover swipe. I'm like, dude, you can kiss my ass. I'm going to draw whatever they want me to draw. I mean, that's the worst. And see, I used to do that too. I used to let people tell me, oh, you can't make no money being a comic artist. You can't be successful being a comic. Now, don't get me wrong. Back in the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s, it was extremely hard to break into the comic world. So I completely understand that excuse back then. But now with social media, you don't ever have to do a cover for anyone, and you can be successful as an artist right now doing fan art and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely, I love that documentary Todd McFarlane did about not letting people tell you you can't do this or you can't do that. So I think a lot of people need to stick with that mentality
yeah,
on
and
everything.
then and I know everybody talks trash on him, but I'd really like to meet Rob Liefeld too. I
Yeah.
hear he's a pretty cool guy to talk to, and then I hear people say, "Oh no, why would you want to meet him? He's an asshole." And it's like, you know what? I'll make the judgment myself. Because
Yeah.
I'm like you. My wife gets so pissed off at me because I have no filter and I don't sugarcoat things.
Hmm.
I'll just straight up tell her that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Instead of being like, "Well, I don't really think that's a good idea," I'm just like, "No, we are not
Yeah.
doing that, and this is why." And so I don't mind people that have that mentality. Just like with Neil Adams, I totally respect the guy. He's done a hell of a lot of great shit over the last several
Yeah.
decades. And who
Yeah,
trips the
I
Tie
mean, Rob
Fighter?
Liefeld, Rob Liefeld, I can respect what Rob's done in the industry. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I think sometimes that he was in the right spot at the right time when he walked away with the right group of people? No doubt. But Rob Steele was one of the biggest hustlers in the '90s. One of the biggest grinders out there, right along with those guys. The fact that he took something, from nothing and turned it into something, no matter whether you like his art or don't like his art, or, you have problems with his attitude sometimes or whatever, when he kind of goes a little overboard with feeling like he wasn't, uh, you know, treated a certain way or something, is irrelevant. The guy still earned his right. He earned his spot. He earned his place amongst all those guys at Image. He grinded just as hard as any of those guys at Image did. Yeah, Rob is definitely one I would love to meet. Now, do I agree with some of the things he does sometimes, as far as like he got mad at this person, so he's not signing these books for fans at the con? Yeah, sometimes I can think that it's a little silly, but I can also understand that because we're all artists and we do silly crap any damn way. Sometimes we get a little pissed off about something that's just so stupid. But again, that's because I think a lot of that, him getting upset about that and people saying, "Oh, that's just silly. It doesn't make sense." And even I can sit back and play devil's advocate and say, "Okay, yeah, that didn't make sense." But I can also see the other side of it where we constantly get shit on, artists do. And I have to say artists because I don't write, I don't color, I don't ink, per se, as far as a professional. So I can't vouch for what happens to them. But I know as a penciler, we get shit on a lot from people trying to get free stuff, people trying to get discounts, people trying to argue with us about our prices. We're constantly, with that type of mentality, we're constantly being made to feel like we're not good enough, that we don't deserve what we're asking, things like that. So I get where that made him feel disrespected. Whether we agree with it or not is irrelevant. That's how it made him feel. That's how he reacted to it. And that's for him to decide. And the same, like I said, it goes for any of us. When we feel disrespected, that's not right for anybody else to try to belittle what we feel. Um, yeah, it happens sometimes. Yeah. Most of the time, I'm actually a really sweet angel. I'll go above and beyond for anybody till you mess me over, and then I want to choke
Yeah.
you in an alley and leave you bleeding to death. But um, it's. I think a lot of people need to understand that being an artist is not going to your damn office job, clocking in and working 8 hours and going home. That is not what it is. We overworked, exhausted all the time, both physically and mentally. Especially if you're someone doing it all by yourself. So being on our best behavior all the time doesn't happen. Like I said, our nerves get worn real thin, on a lot of days. That's why me personally, I don't get mad at an artist at a con if they kind of get snippy, or, if it's, Sunday and they've got a bit of an attitude, I just let it go, because we don't know what the people were right before we walked up. We don't know what kind of weekend they've had. So we tend to wear our emotions on sleeve. So like with Rob, I don't have a problem with it. Do I think it's a little, you know, out there sometimes? Yeah, but that still doesn't change that it's important to him. So I would
Yeah.
still love to meet Rob. He's definitely one I would love to meet.
Yeah, and my last one I think would be Dan Fraga. I freaking love his art, man. Back in the '90s when I first started seeing, his covers on Bloodshot, and
Hmm.
he just brought back Black Flag, and it's just his ink work is amazing. I mean, you can see anything that the guy draws, and it's not colored, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I was gonna go to one of the cons. I think it was last year. I think it was Terrificon or one of the other ones that he was at, and I wasn't able to make it. But I was able to send my books to uh, the comic shop that I buy through, Hooked on Comics, and they were nice enough. They went to the con, they got them signed, and sent them to CGC for me and mailed them to me. And
Nice.
I was super stoked about that. Like I sent them like 9 covers. I'm like, I want this one signed. I want this one signed. I want this one signed. I love his work, man. And it's just the line work is beautiful. And to be honest, that's one of my grails for artwork for book 2 or even book 3. If I'm able to make it happen, I want him to do a piece for
Yeah.
my book. I would.
I mean, that's what, and I wish, and I know a lot of these artists aren't cheap. I get that. But I think one of the major things a lot of Kickstarter people need to start kind of really wrapping their head around, and that's spending the money for proper artists. Because even though it takes all of us to make a comic, the art is what sells your comic. That cover that you get done is what catches their eye. The inside art is what keeps them reading your book. So I mean, yeah, definitely go for that. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you got to, if it's someone you got to save up for a year or two to be able to pay them to do a cover. Man, go for it. Swing for the fences on it. Because sadly, a lot of these books, these Kickstarters that even I have personally bought into just to show support, dude, I couldn't read that if I tried to make myself read it. The art was so bad. And
Yeah.
and again, I'm not bashing anyone. I don't mean it that way. You can only do what you can afford to do. But I think a lot of people get in a hurry, and instead of saving the money to do what they need to do, they don't. They just try to rush it out there so they can say, "I got a comic." Obviously that's the case, because I probably average about 3 messages a month. People wanting me to do covers for the Kickstarter, but wanting it for free. And don't ever ask an artist to do any damn thing for free. I don't give a shit what cover you're doing. Now, if you're some super successful Kickstarter that's had 4 or 5 books that have fully funded, you've got, you're doing 1,000 print run books for your book, then now that is understandable. You've got a little exposure like that. But when it's your first book or your second book, don't ask artists to do stuff for free. Save up the money if you need to do. Get a talented artist to do your interior. Get a talented group of artists if you can to do your covers, and really come out on your first book just swinging, man, swinging hard. And if you do that, I promise you will get some damn funded books that way. But if you're putting out stuff that look like, Timmy from 5th grade drew your book, you're not going to do it. You'll be lucky if you can fill the first one, let alone them coming back for a second one. So, I don't rush. Just, like you said, you want that guy to do a cover for you, man, go for it. There's nothing stopping you.
Well, Mike, we'll say that it was going to happen for book one. Dan and I already had talked about it and worked out how
Nice.
much and all that, but with medical and everything,
Yeah.
and him not being available until September, from when I had the money to do it till
Right.
September when I was declining and all this stuff started rolling in. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but we're still in talks for book two, and there's still hope for it. So
Nice.
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen one way or another.
There you
You
go.
know,
See, that's what you got to have, that mentality. It's going to happen.
it's gonna
Not,
happen.
well, we're going to try. Oh, well, no, man, just have that pissed off attitude. It's going to happen.
It's gonna happen,
Nothing is
man.
stopping me. That's
That's
what you got
right.
to do.
The stars will align, and it's gonna
Hmm.
happen. It may not happen in book two. May not happen till the end book on book three. But
Stop,
it
stop,
work.
stop, stop pushing the book back. Stop. I'm telling you right now. Stop. It's going to
Well,
happen
book
on book
three's
two.
the end, so
Stop
it
pushing
has
it
to be
back.
done by three.
Stop,
But I'm.
stop doing that. Stop pushing back. It's
That's
going to
right.
happen on book two.
It's good.
That's
That's
when
it.
you draw the line in the sand and make it happen, man. You can do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. When life hits you with a crowbar, there's nothing you can do about that. But just don't let yourself talk yourself into pushing stuff back.
Hey now, Jack. Don't be talking smack about Stuff Pool, or you're gonna end up in.
What the hell
Uh,
is Stealth Pool?
that's what this is.
Oh, is that what that is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So Steph does this weekly. He does his weekly drawing on Thursday nights on Artist Alley Shopping Network, and he gets on at 7 Central, so it's 8 Eastern. And at the end of the show, he does a You Can Draw. So ever since the very first show that he did earlier this year, that he did the You Can Draw segment, I created Stuff Pool because that was the first thing we drew was Deadpool, so it became Stuff Pool. So instead of the oval eyes, he's got round eyes because Steph
Uh,
draws, the circle templates really well. And so every week when we draw a character, whatever we end up drawing, I always make enough room on the pad to draw Stuff Pool in, and then I come up with something witty. And so if you go on my personal page and you look, there's actually a folder labeled Steph Pool's Weekly Comic. And so every week I come up with this creative story and something sarcastic for him to stay. So this is his Steph Pool as cosplay for Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassin. So he's riding
there you go.
a stick unicorn,
Yeah,
and it's fun.
it is, and that's the way this is supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. I don't know why. I can't figure out why people get so hardcore about it. So, dude, we're drawing people in their underwear. I mean, you're not running into these artists that get these freaking damn egos. Like I was in a Discord channel for this one artist, superstar artist, if you want to call it that. I mean, uh, and there was something he was doing, and I tagged him in a question I had about the project before I put my money into it, because I figured if anybody had the legit answer, it would be the person doing the damn event.
Yeah.
So one of the admins sent me a PM and said, he said, "Hey, what's your problem with that question you asked?" "Oh, well, I'm just trying to find out what the answer is." He's okay. Well, if you got a question, just ask one of us admins. Don't tag the artist. I'm like, why wouldn't I tag the artist on his own project? Well, he's super busy and he doesn't. I said, well, first off, I said, you can pump your brakes, bitch. I was like, because he puts his pants on the same way I put my pants on, one leg at a time, as far as I know. And he's not running into buildings, saving burning babies and all of this stuff. He's drawing people in their underwear. So my time is just as valuable as his time. And the fact that I'm in here having to argue with you about a question that I have for him, and you're telling me I shouldn't ask it because somehow his time is more valuable than mine. I was like, no, matter of fact, I'm going to go back to the post. I'm going to tag him again on the question again. So I mean, I don't get that. And some of these guys get that mentality. And I just sat back and scratched my head like, dude, you're just drawing, man. That's all you're doing. You're just drawing. This is meant to be fun. I mean, I get you've been doing it for 15, 20 years, and I have mad respect for you for doing it for that long. But other than that, you're not better than me, you know. And so I mean, you know, I get. Uh, I, I don't know. I guess I don't get it. No, I don't. I don't get it. I just
Well,
I can't
speaking
fathom
of
it. I
drawing
don't
people
understand.
in their underwear, though, what is the weirdest? Have you had this one crazy ass person ask you for some crazy shit? Like, what is the craziest thing
What's
you've
up,
been
Nick?
asked to draw?
Oh Jesus! Other than free shit, um, the most common crazy stuff is free shit. Um, all right, Nick. Have a good night, brother. Um, wow. No, probably the weirdest thing, which I've made it pretty clear that I don't really draw. I don't really draw nude to be drawn nude. I don't need sex to sell my art. I don't
Unless
need
it's
tits hanging out.
tasteful. Yeah.
Um, you know, and I don't have a problem with tasteful, but if it looks like it needs to be on the cover of a Hustler magazine, it's not for me. Everyone else can do it. More power to them. So I've made that pretty clear over the last 2 years, especially. So I've gotten less questions about what to draw, but I think the one that stands out the most, and it started out kind of normal, and it
That's how they all
slowly just
start
went,
out.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
how they all
they're
start out.
sticking their foot in the door, just kind of testing the waters. And you know, are you know the young girl who plays Catwoman on Gotham?
No, I don't.
How the hell have you never seen Gotham? The
I don't
TV
watch
show
TV.
Gotham?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, dude, you
I've
gotta go
never
back and
watched.
watch this show. They did really well on that show. Anyway, there's like a 15-year-old girl that plays Catwoman on there. So he sends me a PM, and this was, yeah, I think this was like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So that girl was probably about maybe 16-ish on that show, I guess. And he was like, you know, hey, have you ever drawn, you know, called her name? And I was like, no, I haven't. And he's like, could you do one of her? I was like, yeah, I can do portraits. That's no problem. And yeah, exactly. That's what I need to start doing. Yeah, here's your free ass whooping. Um, then that'd get too expensive though. Um, so I was like, yeah, I can do that. And he's, oh, okay, cool. He's like, well, here's my idea. He's like, I want to do, have you do a piece of her. And he's like, can you draw animals and stuff? I was like, yeah, that's no problem. If you want her with a bunch of cats or whatever, I can do that. I was like, that's not an issue. He's like, well, he's like, I've got a so-and-so dog. And he's, I'd love to have a shot of her and him in it together. And I was like, okay, sure, that's no problem. And he's like, okay, well, do you have a problem? Like, is there a way for you to make it to where it looks like she's being affectionate with him? I was like, yeah, dude, that's no problem, man. I can draw her, you know, hugging him or giving him a kiss on his forehead or something like that. And that's when it started going
Oh
down.
my
Yeah, then it went to him slowly, steady creeping on down that staircase to, well, you know, how do you feel about drawing it with her, you know, licking him, you know? And I was like, what? And he was like, well, you know, just, you know, her just kind of licking him, you know? And I was like, dude, I was like, I'm done with the conversation, you know? So, and that dude is still fishing around for that picture apparently, because I saw him post something not too long ago wanting somebody to do something, and
Oh
it
my
made me think of
gosh.
that. So that's probably the most oddball thing, like really out there, I think. So I guess it's probably maybe kind of tame compared to what some people get. And I'm sure if I drew more stuff that was, you know, nudity or you know, females in extremely sexual positions, I'm sure I would get way more questions. But yeah, that's about it as far as that.
So you won't be doing
All
any
right, have a
totally
good night.
rad.
Huh?
So you won't be. So you won't be doing any totally rad comedy covers anytime soon.
I mean, I don't have a problem with a sexy cover. I've done nude covers,
No, I'm
but
just
they
kidding.
were her turned a certain way. But yeah, if you have to, I'm sorry, it's just not my thing. If you have to draw a female with her legs tore open and another comic character between her legs, you can't draw. You're using that to sell your cover. Now, will it sell? Yes. Huge market for it. Could I make shitloads more money if I drew that stuff? Yes. There's no doubt. But I've got $4. and I like being able to show my art to my daughters. And you know, I've done. I've got a cover coming that's got a naughty and nice to it. So, I mean, I will do certain things. I don't have a problem with sexy. I don't have a problem with drawing a woman being powerful and being very, seductive and things like that. But like I said, if it's got to look like a hustler cover, it's not for me. And it's not that I have some uptight thing about porn or anything like that. More power to everybody. I just don't. I don't think it's needed for comics. You
Well, and
know.
every artist has their standards. I mean, if it's something that you don't feel passionate about, you're not going to do it right anyway. You know, and
That's true
that's
too.
that's kind of the gist of it. If you ask somebody to do that piece and like, well, I'm not really, that's not really something that I normally do. You know, that's outside of their comfort zone. Not only
Hmm.
because they don't like doing it, but they don't draw that, and you're asking the wrong person. They're not going to put the effort into what you're wanting out of the piece. Find somebody else.
Yeah. And part of it falls into I don't understand it. I mean, because you can go right there to your computer and download all the porn you want. Why do you need Catwoman in between Black Cat's legs? I mean, it just like I said, it's just again, I'm not downing anybody that's into that. More power to you. It, it's just I don't have no interest in drawing it. And like I said, I'm sure if I did, I would get more of those crazy questions. I'm without a doubt. You put what was that question you just put up from somebody? Because I'm not seeing it on mine. That
Oh,
I
he
think
said, let's get this right, people. William will not draw bestiality, you sick bastards.
nope,
That's
not
what I
gonna happen.
popped up there. It wasn't a question. It was just Jack
Oh, dude,
saying, let's get.
I've turned down a lot of damn Kickstarter covers because they wanted the hustler kind of feel covers. I mean, I've turned down a lot of them, man. And in this year alone, I've probably turned down 5 covers that because they wanted that type of cover work. And like I said, I'm not bashing anyone that does it. You know, more power to you. I don't know, man. I want for myself. I want art that I can show my daughters. But not only that, I want art that when someone buys my cover, they're buying it because they like the art, not because it had some, it
Sleazy.
had Black Cat
Yeah.
on it with her, completely nude, sprawled out. That I like being able to say that someone bought my cover strictly for the way the art was. So
Yeah, no, I totally get it. So who was your favorite character? Like what was your favorite comic reading as you were growing up?
wow, that really changed for some weird reason. And I'm sure it had to do with the local store that I was at. My grandparents raised me in this little bitty town. So any big store, whether it was uh, you know the pharmacy or anything like that during the 80s that would have comics, was 20, 30 minutes away. So I would probably get about one comic, 2 comics a month, and it was usually whatever was at the pharmacy or whatever, or the little grocery store that was near there,
Yeah, you
and
had
it
the
was
little spinner
actually X Men.
rack.
Yep, exactly, and it was the X Men. That was Uncanny X Men was what I started with in the early '80s, and I was hardcore X Men probably till Image came along. And I didn't really collect DC. X Men, Uncanny X Men, X Force, pretty much the X. It was all about mutants, and I think a lot of that I probably related to because when you grow up extremely poor, and I know a lot of you guys probably listen to this, oh, I grew up poor too. A lot of people don't know what poor is until you're at that point to where you're, eating what we called, flapjacks for dinner and meals, and you had one pair of shoes a year, and you didn't have air conditioning because you couldn't afford, your grandmother couldn't afford air conditioning. We didn't even have hot water till I was probably 16. We used to boil water on the stove and pour it in the bathtub. So I think I related to that, and that's probably why I like those books so much because of them being bullied and mistreated and almost a minority feel to them. Even though it's not the exact same thing, but kids that grew up poor that wore a lot of the same clothes a lot to school because they didn't have a lot to choose from, got bullied and got mistreated and was the outcast. And so that, I think that's where that probably came into, because I could relate to that more than, relating to, Superman or Batman. Because most of the time when you're growing up, you read things that you relate to. Now, once Image came out, I was all over Spawn. It was one of my favorites. Wetworks, uh, books like that. Jim 13, Jim Lee was definitely one of my favorites. I bought pretty much anything he had his hands on. But as I got more into my like 30s, I actually quit collecting for about 10 years. And I started back up right before I started becoming a professional artist, just so I can kind of see what's out there and everything. And it's been mostly like Batman. Like Batman's been the thing I've been super attached to, and I think that's also because it's the artistic side of it. For me, even though I was a huge X-Men fan, even for me, I always thought DC had a better rogues gallery. I love the villains, especially being a horror fan, a huge horror fan. I was all about the creepy, the dark. So, the Batman, universe just had some of the coolest characters. I mean, definitely the most fun to draw. Hence why, if you look through my portfolios or even my Instagram and stuff like that, the majority, I mean, probably 90% of the art I've done is DC. It's the most requested I get from people, and it's the most I do on my own free time. So now it's mostly that, and the Bat Who Laughs, that is without a doubt my favorite character. That dude is so much fun to do. What's
So
up,
what X
Brittany?
and Jack asked, what X-Men character do you like more than the others?
Um, Probably Wolverine. I think I was kind of like everyone else, huge Wolverine fan. Um, Man, I haven't read those books in so long. Like I have no clue what's going on now. Um, Ghost Rider was definitely a big one I was fond of back then. I love the whole Midnight Suns run and stuff like that. Like again, I'm a big horror fan. But as far
Yeah.
as X-Men's concerned, yeah, probably pretty much like everyone else, the Wolverine character. Um, and probably one of the bigger villains that I think gets robbed in Marvel, that I'm a huge fan of. And again, I guess probably because of the way he looks, but that's Doctor Doom. I've always been a fan of the Doctor Doom, the way his character is, how he looks, that whole 9 yards. I definitely think that's one of the characters is so insanely underused. Even though I hate Fantastic Four, I cannot stand Fantastic Four. If that book died tomorrow, I would be like, awesome. If it was never printed again, it'd be too soon. And if they never did another movie, it'd be too soon. Um, and and I think the reason is it's got to now. Don't get me wrong. There's stories, the writers and everything that had to do with the Fantastic
Right.
Four universe. So many great stories. I mean, that one book probably has some of the most incredible stories in it out of most of Marvel, other than, in my opinion, Uncanny X-Men. So definitely give credit to them for that. But those four characters are got to be the bornest characters I've ever seen. I mean, their powers are so literal to who they are. It's ridiculous. But Doom, I want to see Doom in the MCU so bad, but I know if I see him, I'm going to see the Fantastic Four, and I'm so sick of hearing those damn origin stories. What's up, John?
Yeah, and my favorite character growing up, of course, was Gambit.
Mm,
Just to have the ability to supercharge anything and turn it into explosive. I mean, I just
yeah.
love the fact that at any time this guy would pull out a deck of cards and just have hand grenades, and I was like, that is the most awesome superpower ever. Like you just walk
Yeah,
by and
Gambit was
touch
a
a
good one.
car, blow it up. Uh
Was that you or me?
oh. Did I lose? Is it on my end or your end? There it
Um,
goes. Yeah, you like refreshed for a second. I'm like, holy shit, what happened to you?
yeah, I don't know, like, is that me or is that you? That's weird. It
Yeah,
definitely shouldn't be my internet. I've got like 600 like megabyte uh, like
it's all
speeds.
good. It was only for a second. It's all good. We're
Yeah,
back.
that's just that's probably like it's probably Facebook saying, "Wait, what are you guys doing sharing over here?" Yeah, Gambit was a good one. I think another one that's highly unused is Mr. Sinister.
Yep.
That I want to see him in a movie so bad, dude. I was so excited about Age of Apocalypse because that that the whole Four Horsemen, the whole that storyline from back then. I loved that concept,
Yep.
and I avoided the trailers. I avoided all the talking. I avoided everything because I was so excited for that damn movie. And because they had just came off the hype, I mean, or the movie for Days of Future Past, and
Yeah,
in my opinion, I thought it was a very good movie.
I did too. I
Uh,
loved it.
so I went to the theater and I was like, hell yeah, Apocalypse, the Four Horsemen, dude. I was pissed. Man,
Yep.
I was so mad. I was like, when that movie started out, it was awesome. I was like, okay, well, he kind of looks weird, but okay, I can roll with this. I was like, okay. And then it just kind of, and then they killed the Four Horsemen. I was like, okay, okay, okay. They're going to
Okay.
bring them back. I can work with this. Let's see what happens. And then it just went to total crap. And I was like,
Yep.
and that hurt too because I mean, Apocalypse is another one of those you want to see him on the big screen,
Yep.
So I was definitely heartbroken about that. But Mr. Sinister, I would love to see him in a big one. And I don't know why, like with Singer, kind of get on the subject of movies for a second. I don't understand Singer. I don't, or any of those guys that are doing the X-Men movies. I really don't understand why they have to try to create these new stories and try to combine stories and take characters and try to combine characters to create a new character. Because one of the great things about the comic world, we as fans, you could not ask for an already built-in loyal fan base that will spend their money on your shit and come watch the movie. We will
Yep.
do it, period.
Yep.
So this need to try to recreate the wheel is mind-blowing to me. Why can't they just take the stories that made the characters who they are, that made them popular, and dude, they could sit there and tell Inferno, Age of Apocalypse, Days of Future Past, Extinction Agenda, the one about the Marauders and the all the mutants that died. They could literally take that comic word for word, slap it on that screen, and we would sit there and drool all over the screen. They don't have to do any of that, so I don't get it. It's crazy. Funko Pop. What are you talking about? Some
Yeah, he
damn
said he almost
Funko
bought
Pop.
a Gambit Funko at Walmart, but he was there to get stuff for the kids.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
as court. Yeah, they've shown it in what, like three movies or
Yeah.
two movies at least.
Yep.
S. Oh wait, no, three, because they mentioned it in New Mutants also. So three movies that they have mentioned that dude, and they still haven't put Sinister in it. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. They need to just. I mean, they could follow it word for word, and we would be in the theater just drooling over it. I mean,
Yep.
they don't. I mean, you couldn't ask for an easier audience to please in the sense that you could physically put the comic on the screen, and we'd be there like just
Yeah.
ecstatic.
It'd be like every week the next issue comes out on video and we're back there watching it again.
But I'm hoping all of this stuff that's going on with like Disney and everything, where they're taking these incredibly awesome universes and making these TV shows out of them. I really hope that continues to catch on because man, when you turn it into a TV show, man, there's so much you can do with that, and you don't have to cram it all in a 2-hour event.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean it's just like the Mandalorian, it'd be like every Friday.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's all going to kind of wrap around the Fantastic Four, and I mean to be fair, if they brought Fantastic Four to the MCU, but they brought them somehow, whether it's an alternate, reality, with the whole multiverse. I don't want to see the damn origin story. I'm so sick of that shit. I didn't want to see the origin story with Tom Holland and Spider-Man. I am sick of high school Spider-Man. I got to figure out how to pay my rent Spider-Man. That's the one I want to see. Because
Yeah.
I'm not relating to the damn 17, 16-year-old high school kid no more.
Yeah.
So,
And it's just they've only rebooted it over and over and
yeah,
over.
3 damn times.
Yep. And so now we got this new movie coming out, and they're bringing back all the characters from
Dude,
all
now
the old
that I'm
Spider.
excited about.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
The multiverse, there's so much they can do with the multiverse, man.
Yep.
And like another good example, like with DC, I don't know why they won't make Elseworld movies. There's so much you can do with Elseworlds, it's insane. From the alternate realities and stuff like that, or with MCU, you don't have to stick to anything with the multiverse, wide open to all types of
Yeah.
stuff, and
It's gonna be
nobody
fun.
will have a fit about it. Keep emasculating characters and teams. Yeah, that's some identity politics and all that crap, and they're just trying to fit in with the time, and they need to stop. I do agree with that. They do need to stop pandering comics and pandering movies or whatever to certain groups, because most of the time that particular person isn't buying the book. No way. Those people bitching and crying because Joe Blow was a male, and they're not buying your book anyway to begin with. So I do agree with that. Why am I not seeing some in the chat? I come with people, and most of us. Yeah, even people that don't collect comics knows that Bruce Wayne's parents died and were
Yeah.
shot. They
Yeah, we
know
don't need
that
to see it over
Spider-Man
and
got
over
bit
again.
by it. Yeah, there's no point in that stuff. They've beat that horse to death so bad.
And then
I mean,
John
they
said
beat
that
it.
John
Huh?
said he loves How to Pay My Rent. Spider-Man love it.
Yeah, that's who I want to see. I want to see, oh my God, she's pissed off because I'm gone another night in a row. There's plenty of you guys that can relate to that. Y'all
Yeah.
stay down at the bar and yeah, you're playing poker with your buddies and your wife's mad at you at home. See, we can relate to that. So
Yeah.
we want to see how Spider-Man handles that. So
Hey,
that way
what's
we can
going
go
on,
home and say the
Kingpin?
same thing. So
Thanks for joining in, buddy. What's up,
what's up,
Kingpin?
Mr. Kevin? Kevin Johnson. Oh, that's the guy. If any of you guys want to know, that's the person you need to ask if he has any copies of Cult of Dracula #2 left. And you guys better grab that damn book, because Cult of Dracula is slated for a movie, and issue #2 just got announced a few weeks ago. Issue #2 has 3 major first appearances in it that will be in the movie. So snooze, you lose, because my copy is going to be like $100 copy. So I don't give my copies away.
Tim said Uncle Ben won't be in the new movie, LOL.
Shit, how much you want to bet he will?
Yeah.
You watch. I tell you what, I'll make a bet with anybody right now. They're going to put out that damn Spider-Man movie, multiverse movie with all these characters. I bet you money there's going to be a flashback. You watch.
Yep,
This
probably.
is how he got bit and he killed his uncle.
In case
Go
you've
watch.
never heard of Spider-Man in
Yeah.
your entire life, even though it's been plastered everywhere, he got bit by a spider. His uncle
Thank you, Mr.
died.
Kevin. Oh yeah, I don't care what anybody says. I did the best damn cover for Cult of Dracula #1 and #2. I outshined the big dogs. That's right, I can say that. Yeah, they're doing the multiverse.
There's Uncle Ben.
And I'm cool. Yeah, and I'm cool. I'm cool with it, man. I want to see the multiverse. I want to see all these different realities where different heroes did this or that, or these characters became these characters. And the majority of artists out there, majority of comic collectors out there have no problem with that. They don't care if there's, a universe where there's a black Batman, or there's a universe where there's a Latino Wonder Woman. They don't care about that at all. All they want to see is the character. They just don't want to see something they grew up with changed into something else, just to pander to someone.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. You shouldn't. You can do it with the multiverse. You can do, I mean, because case in point, like a lot of people want to say this, this BS. Oh, well, all these white males that collect, they don't want it to happen because it'll hurt their, no, bullshit. Because look how they handled Miles Morales the right way. They didn't try to take Peter Parker and turn him into something he's not. They took Miles Morales, created a new character, gave him the, pretty much the same powers, same name, and people love him. Miles Morales is probably one of the most popular damn Marvel characters there are right now. What's he talking about?
He said we better get a Kingpin appearance with 3 damn Spider-Man and a Daredevil.
That's right. I'm telling you guys, yeah, I called the last ones, and some of you guys listened, some of you didn't. I called Venom 3. Look what's going on now. I called The Bat Who Laughs, Teen Titans 12, when it first hit the shelves. I was like, you guys better get this book. I'm telling you, that character's going to blow up. He's going to be around for a few years, and it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if Bat Who Laughs made it to a movie, because that character is insanely popular.
Yeah.
But so yeah, y'all better. I'm telling you, better grab Cult of Dracula #1 and 2 at least.
And then Danny said he said I own the unpublished cover of Cult of Dracula #1.
Yep, he sure does. Yeah, I did. When I did Cult of Dracula #1, I did a prelim cover, and they wanted to change it to a girl with a half snake body. So that piece ended up not getting used, and then I did the other cover, which is what the cover is now. Yeah, Danny snagged up that prelim, and who knows, I may end up using that prelim idea for another cover anyway. Yeah, dude, you better get it, Danny, if you haven't. Like I said, I don't know how many he's got left, if any. He can speak up here if he wants to, or you guys can send him a PM. But yeah, don't sleep on that one, guys. 3 damn major first appearances in that book. And I didn't even know that. We just found out like 3 weeks ago. It got put on Key Collector or whatever, what was in it. So.
But yeah, I mean that was something that we talked about a few weeks ago on one of the podcasts that I got on, as we were talking about, them changing the current characters, whether they made them black or Latino or a woman instead, and it's like, it is aggravating. You've grown up with this character for so long, and it's been this way, and then now you're going to change it. Why don't you just create a new character?
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's easy to steal. I mean, it's easier to steal someone's established character and their fan base than it is to create a new one. And
Yep.
and the hypocrisy of it is what pisses a lot of people off. Because if someone walked up tomorrow and said they want to turn Blade white or any other race, the shit would hit the fan. If someone walked up and said, "Hey, we're redoing Black Panther and so is going to play him," whether it's movie or comic book, the shit would hit the fan. And that's what pisses a lot of people off, is the hypocrisy that's behind it. Now, being someone who's, I've got part Native American in me, so being someone like that, I would love to see, whether it's more Native American artists, more Native American characters, more Native American actors, of course. We all want to be included in stuff, and feel like we're represented. I completely understand that, and I get that. But create your own. And again, if you dip into the multiverse, there are those type of things going on where so-and-so character is actually a woman instead of a man, and
Yep.
and so-and-so is actually black instead of white, and so on. So there's no reason to do any of that. I mean, just dip into that and make it shine. I mean, there's so many unused characters, and this whole false bull crap that there's not enough of African American characters in comics. That's complete. There's tons of great ones, and when it comes to the movies itself, I mean, look at all the ground that what's his name broke with the Blade movies. I mean, that was huge, and everybody wants to pretend like it didn't happen. I'm like, no, there's a lot of actors who's done stuff. There's a lot of comic characters that's been there. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know why people don't want to put in that extra effort and have truly your own character.
Yeah.
where it's 100%, we created this, this is what it is, and we didn't have nobody's permission, and we did it, and this is how we're going to roll.
Well, I think a lot of the problem too with Marvel and DC doing the change of ethnicity on the characters is they've run out of ideas for stories. They
And
keep
it's hard.
redoing number one, then they do a run, then they do a number one,
Yep.
and then they've gotten to the point that they do 10 issues and they keep starting over and they keep starting over, and
Yep.
it's like, and then they're trying to, like, with Marvel trying to merge all of the different timelines of the comics and what has happened with the characters and making the Avengers movies and trying to cram all these universes together and then go back and be like, well,
Yep.
this is why this happened, and doing all this crazy stuff. It's because they've ran out of ideas. But if we make
Yeah.
them a different ethnicity and give them a different background, we can make a totally different story with it. It's like, if you're making a totally different story with a totally different background, make a new freaking character. Don't
Yep.
don't reuse the same one. And the only reason they reuse it is because it's got the name. You
Yep.
hear Thor, you go running. You hear Spider Man, you go running. You
Yep.
hear, Iron Man. It's Iron Woman now. Oh,
Yeah.
well, it's still Iron Man.
Yeah, because I mean, I've been in tons and tons and tons of comic shops over my life and conventions and stuff like that. And dude, one of the great things about comic people, they don't give a shit what sex the character is. They don't
Nope.
care what color it is. They don't care who the hell they're sleeping with behind closed doors. They don't care about none of that. I mean, you really couldn't ask for a more, great mixture of people. Um, no, he's a Sith Lord, dude. Get it right. Um, so I mean, and like I said, and they have there's no argument. The little left wingy, let me cry me a river victimhood mentality people that is what causes a lot of this. They don't give two shits about those characters. They don't care about none of them. And I'm going to go ahead and say it like really what it is. These little hardcore left wing white people, because that's the ones that's usually doing all the screaming, is the little I'm going to be offended for everybody else white folks, white knighting it up. They don't care. They're not buying those comics. They'll never buy those comics. They don't give two shits about those comics. They don't go see those movies. They just want to they want to pretend to be offended for everyone else. And their argument holds no water when look at the turnout the Blade movies got. That movie did extremely well in the theater. Look at how extremely well Black Panther did in the movie theater. And when you step back and you make the claim that, oh, well, the majority of comic collectors are white males between this age. Okay, well, all of those people went to see Black Panther along with everyone else. And then Miles Morales completely proves that there's no weight to what some of these people are crying about, because Miles 100% proves that people don't care, that they just want a good character, a good story, and they're on board.
As long as it's
Green Lantern needs a proper movie. I agree with that. There's a lot of flavor in that movie. There's so much that can. Oh God, they ruined Parallax. Oh dear God, it was so bad.
Yeah.
Like I could tolerate the green glowing suit or whatever he had on, the energy looking suit. I can buy that. I love dude as Sinestro. Absolutely loved him as Sinestro. I didn't mind. I liked Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan. But woo, they dropped the ball on Parallax. Holy Jesus, they dropped the ball on it. That was so bad. Yeah, I agree there. That we need that movie. We definitely need that movie. And I wish DC. What hurt DC is you've got a Warner Brothers executive who, and he's made this clear. He like in interviews, even with all the success that Marvel has had for 10 plus years, he still thinks that comic movies are a fad. And I'm pretty confident at this point now in the 80s and in the early 90s and so forth, even maybe the early 2000s, sure, I can agree with it being a fad back then. It's not a fad now.
No,
Marvel has absolutely 100% proven it is not a fad if you do it right.
that's right.
And of course, that asshole still has that mentality. Well, it's a fad. Let's hurry up and put a DC movie out so we can get a little piece of the pie before it fades away. If they would sit back and treat the DCU like Marvel did the MCU, holy shit. If they would have done each one of them gets a movie and we get attached to the characters and then brought them all together for this giant JLA triple crossover, because it was supposed to be three movies. That was the original idea for it. And if they did that, they could do incredibly well also. Because, I mean, Logan has proven that movies are big. Deadpool definitely has proven. And then, of course, the MCU in general has proven.
Well, and what proves it's not a fad is, when we back in the day when we were kids and you would go to a con, there'd be, maybe 100 people there, and you
Yeah.
were this giant nerd, and now you go to a con, like you go, to one of these bigger cons, there's 10,000 plus people there, and so that proves it's not a fad. More and more people each year are going to the cons. Each year they have to get a bigger venue because they have so many people that want to come, and they can only sell so many uh, passes to get in because of fire code and all that. And it's like,
Right.
so these cons that have started out as a little mom and pop shop con have moved
Mhm.
into these big convention centers.
Yeah.
That's enough proof right there. You have people that want to see your movies.
I mean, the MCU completely converted San Diego Comic Con. It's not even a Comic Con anymore. I mean, it's a pop culture con or whatever you want to call it. I mean, and that was, I mean, it started going that way, with some of these real successful TV shows and stuff, but the MCU just completely put it overboard, 12 years ago, 13 years ago. So, I mean, I really wish that, and I think with the Snyder cut, I think the ball game's going to change a little, because I mean that's already turning into like a 4 hour event, and he's talking about, like, I keep up with him on Instagram, and he's talking about doing a Snyder cut for Batman versus Superman, I think. One of them, yeah, I think Batman versus Superman. He's talking about doing a Snyder cut for that. So I mean, so he's trying his damnedest to get the movies the way he wanted. Because again, like I said, it's supposed to be Man of Steel. It was supposed to be, what was it? Man of Steel. Then I think Batman versus Superman. Then there was supposed to be a standalone Batman film and a standalone Flash, and then it was supposed to be part one. Well, the Wonder Woman movie, and Aquaman movie, and then part one of JLA. And the Warner Brothers, those dudes started doing what they normally do.
Yeah, do some of the Blackest Night tie-in.
Oh God, that'd be a good one, dude. That was such a great storyline. Yeah, I would love to see, man, Kyle Rayner. Oh man, dude. Like, I mean, I don't give two shits about Guy Gardner, but Kyle Rayner, the fact that I thought that was so awesome in the comics when, he didn't know anything about the yellow, rings or anything, and that he's supposed to, it's not supposed to work against him. Dude, that was such a great story. The whole, and I know that's not Darkest Night, but just that whole batch through that time frame with him turning bad, and then Kyle Rayner and everything coming around, and yeah, dude, I'm not even a big Green Lantern fan, and I really want to see a proper Green Lantern movie, especially with the whole JLA thing. When he becomes a Red Lantern. See, dude, I haven't read any of that stuff in so long. Like, I think the last thing I read Green Lantern, Green Lantern related, was the one. I think it was like when they had to do with like the Black Lanterns or something like that, the Dead or something. What was it? Something like that. Like it was all the different lanterns or something. And there's one that's like was it deal with Dead or something?
I don't know. I haven't read that storyline. I haven't read Green Lantern in a long time. I own a lot of issues
Yeah,
of
I
the
think that's
the
the
older
last thing I
issues,
saw.
but I don't know.
Well,
Remember the last time I got DC books?
yeah. Well, I guess
Other
let's see. I guess I need to mention shop here for a second. So one mystery box left. I think I have one Horror Icons metal print left. There's only 20 of those printed in existence, and they won't be reprinted. They come signed and numbered. Um, Commission list will be opening in the next week or so for the first quarter of 2021. Store appearances. Yeah, I guess I need to do shop here real quick while I'm thinking about it. Store appearances in January. First, I think it's the first weekend in January. I have to go to Dallas, Texas area for an in-store appearance there. The end of January, I'm supposed to go to Indianapolis, Indiana to do an in-store appearance for Comics Elite. February, I'm supposed to do a Knoxville, Tennessee store appearance at Nirvana Comics. And March, I've got to go to Grand Island, Nebraska for their Comic Con. And then April, I'll be in Huntsville, Alabama at their Comic Con. And then I'll be back in Dallas, Texas area for the Cowtown Comic Con for April.
So your commission list, though, for the rest of the year is closed right now.
Yeah. I actually only open my commission list 4 times a year. And when I open it, I do a capped list around 30 spots or so. And like the list that'll be opening up in January already has 12 people on it. And it's not even open yet. People are like, I want on your list. I'm like, well, you understand, you can get on it now if you want, but it doesn't count towards your time being on my list when I open my list. Like, you don't come in and go, oh, I've been on your list already for 2 months. You're doing my piece today, right? No, because usually when my commission list opens, there's still about 10 or 12 people ahead of you before the list even starts. So I do mine 4 times a year. What's he saying?
Oh, he was talking about, he said the
Laura,
Blackest
please.
Night is the Black Lanterns. He said eventually you get the White Lanterns to fight the Black Lanterns. And then he was talking about Lar Freeze.
That's what it was. Yeah. Now that's a character I really would love to see in the movie. That dude is so funny. Oh my God, he's so funny. Yeah, if you haven't read any of the books with Lar Freeze in it, that's a character right there. He's a trip. He's so greedy. He can't nothing he can get's right because he's just so greedy. It's a really, really good one. That character is really funny. But yeah, that's about as big as that. There's a con in Beeland, Florida in January. Yeah, sadly, I won't be at that. I'm pretty sure that one's sold out already anyway. Yeah, most of the time on these cons, man, I'm still kind of leery about paying because here's the sucker punch for it. When because of this year and this coming year, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. And a lot of these cons have kind of lost their cojones with saying, you know what, screw it, we're putting on the show anyway. Who comes? Because the way I look at it, if we can have football, we can have Comic Cons.
Yep.
If I go to Walmart and stand around with 1,000 people in Walmart and shop, I can have a Comic Con. If I can go through the drive-through and somebody's touching my bag and stuff and handing it to me, I can go to a Comic-Con. I'm sick of the hypocrisy of it. I'm sick of the bullshit. Now, do I think there's a legit health issue? Yes. Do I think you should be safe and precautious? Yes. If you have health problems, stay your ass at home.
Yep.
Because this is our income. It makes up a lot of our income for the year, and it is a lot of our networking to be able to meet these, companies and these editors and these Kickstarter projects and stuff that may not have ever seen us on social media. So I'm over the hypocrisy of it. But still, though, it makes me leery about spending the money for these tables, for these cons that are 4 months away, 6 months away, because what sucks is I have to pay for my con table today.
Yep.
Then 4
And
months
if they
from
change
now,
the show,
they back
keep
out.
your money.
Well, no, they usually give you a choice. With this going on, they kind of give you a choice. But the kick in the teeth is, if I commit to a table right now, they take my money right now. But then 6 months down the road, if they decide to cancel that date, it takes me another 90 days to get my money back.
Yep.
So, and then I got to call the hotels and cancel hotels and all that stuff and hope they give me my money back without any penalties. Which now I'm pretty smart about that one. I tend to only book hotels that has free cancellations, up to 24 hours.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's been several going on, Danny. I know there's been some going on, but it's like the big cities are like, nope, you can't do it. You can't do
yeah,
this. And
and
it's
it's
all
straight
up
up
to the
bullshit.
governors.
Yeah, it's straight, and of course the event handlers. It's straight up
Yeah.
BS. I mean, I don't even understand how you can possibly fathom the discussion of it. I don't understand how you can justify it in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I can go to Walmart and I can go to Kroger, stand around with another 500, 600 people, but I can't go to a Comic Con. And, I mean, the tables are apart. I mean, we're wearing masks. How is that any different?
Yeah, and
I
you're
mean,
on one side of the table, they're on the other side of the table
exactly.
looking at
So,
your wares.
yep. It's like I said, it's all hypocrisy and it's all bullshit. Um, and I'm hoping more of these now. More than likely, the smaller cons, that's probably the ones you're going to see that want to do this, that want to stand their ground. These really big shows, you can just about hang that stuff up.
Yeah.
That have 1,500 people on the floor. And part of me can kind of understand that because I imagine those big venues like that are not cheap. So I mean, I can kind of understand that a little, but these ones where they have like 500 people come through in a day, there's no reason for those cons not to be going on.
Well, and
You
then you get these people that are calling the police on the cons because they're, oh, they
hmm
shouldn't be having these events. This is causing. And it's like, people are going to do what people want to do. And if they're going to do it and you don't want to go, then stay at home.
Yeah,
Stop trying to
it's not
dictate
hard to
others'
do.
lives. You're taking
Stay your ass at home.
you're taking food out of artists' mouths. You're taking
Yeah,
food out of creators' mouths because, you know, not everybody has a chance to get onto these podcasts
hmm
and reach different groups of people. And, these videos stay online. Somebody comes across it tomorrow. They watch it. No,
yeah,
I've never seen this guy before. Oh, that his work's really
yeah,
good. I like it. But it's not a guaranteed thing. And at the cons, at least you have that table, you have your banner, you can
yep,
say hi to people when they walk by, you can get their attention. Social media is only so limited. And
yep,
so, we need to get to the point where we can get the cons going again and people just to stay off our asses and just be like, okay, if, you know, 10,000 people show up, that's on them.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean I agree too because I mean like we just had Cowtown Comic Con this past October is the last one I went to, and dude, it was perfect. I mean everybody was staying apart from one another, everybody was being respectful, and we had like 500, 600 people through on Saturday. And we didn't have any issues. People weren't cramming all over each other. They weren't hovering. They were giving each other space at tables and stuff like that. So I mean, it definitely can be done. And I get a kick out of these people. They want to sit here and bark all this crap while they sit and watch football on Sundays. Really?
Yeah.
How are you sitting here bitching about us, but you're watching something that is blatantly doing it, and they're spitting and slobbering and bleeding all over one another.
Yep.
But yet that's okay because that's something you like,
Yep.
you know?
Or all the people that were like, I really hope hockey season starts up this year. And it's like,
hmm
and it's like baseball. The Cardinals, our hometown team, they were on quarantine. I think like the first 4 or 5 games, they went to a game, and then I think 3 or 4 players ended up getting COVID, so they quarantined the whole team. Well, then they went after quarantine was over. The players that were allowed to play went and played somewhere else, and then 2 more players tested positive. And it's like,
Everybody,
why?
it, but the other thing is you've got people that are getting false positives.
Yeah.
A friend of mine just got hit with a false positive. He got tested, got a false positive. They tested him again. I think it was a couple days later, and it was negative. So I mean, you got false positives going around. You got people that are getting it, and it's lighter than the flu. I mean, I already know 2 people that's had it up north that I knew from my last company and stuff like that, and they've tested positive, and they had some temperature and they had some feeling bad and stuff like that, and that was it. So, I mean, is it a threat to people with serious health issues? Yeah, of course. But it's just one of those things where, if you want to be locked down, fine, I'm cool with that. I'll respect that. If you want us not to go places and do things, fine, I can respect that. But when you start sitting back saying, okay, y'all got to stay at home, but those people can go out here and do whatever. Or, you can't go to mom and pop's restaurant. It needs to be shut down, but you can go over here to Walmart and Kroger and shop all day long.
Yeah.
Bullshit. It's full blown hypocrisy at that moment, and it's all about who's got the biggest money. Because I guarantee you, if it was some, mom and pop, soccer games and little league baseball or something, they'd have it shut down in a heartbeat. But because it's multi-million dollar, well, billion-dollar football industry, oh, we'll figure out how to make that work. Oh, you can't have but only 10 people at your house, but you can have 100 people at your march. Okay. Yeah, that makes plenty of sense. So yeah, that's when I kind of like I'm done. Once they started changing the rules to suit certain groups and whatnot because of how they wanted it to go, I was done. I was like, I'm done. So, but anyway,
Well, I guess we ought to get off here. We've been a
two
couple hours.
hours.
We've covered a ton of stuff, and it's been a great show. So, I want to give you a chance. I'm going to give you the full screen. Tell everybody where they can find you. And the links are in the description of the video. So if you guys
Yep.
don't catch anything, you can always check that out.
And here's one of them here. I'll post this right here.
Rock
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah, that right there, Latimer12. You can find me guys on Instagram, Facebook. That's really the only two platforms I use. I have, of course, my personal page. I have my art page, and I have my art group. I don't really mess with Twitter or any of the other platforms. Feel free to give me a like, give me a follow, share out the artwork. And the same goes for everyone else, man. If you've got artists on your friends list or creators, writers, inkers, pencilers, or whatever field they're in, it's still considered small business. Share the hell out of it. It costs you absolutely nothing to share people's content, and they'll be so grateful for it. So take the time, share it a lot. Doesn't matter whether you don't buy art or you don't buy comics or whatever the case. Someone that you maybe on your friends list might. So definitely, check out my information, see what's up. Like I said, I've got some store appearances coming up over the next few months, along with a few Comic Cons that I'm going to. I've got 3 cover jobs that will be out hopefully soon that I can share the information on. I wish I could tell you guys about it now because one of them I'm super excited about. Let's see, commission list, like I mentioned earlier, that'll be opening in the next, couple weeks or whatever, getting ready for 2021's first quarter. As far as art is concerned, I do a little bit of everything from comic related characters to pencil portraits of actual people, things like that. Um, let's see what else. I do tons of giveaways for the people that follow my stuff. Sometimes it's slabbed art, sometimes it's original art, sometimes it's prints, just a little bit of mixture and everything. I gave away a bunch of art supplies not too long ago. I do raffles pretty much once a month to give people who may not can afford to buy art commissions a chance to win something. So like I said, definitely check that stuff out. And as far as the podcast, a huge thank you to Russell for having me on the show. Make sure you guys share, follow, and like the material he's doing because sadly, there's not a lot of podcasts out there like Russell who do this because they love the industry and because they want to see other people succeed and isn't sitting there with their hand out. So definitely make sure you give him a lot of support on all his future endeavors. And as far as my Angernauts go, as always, thank you guys so much for the love and support. Thank you guys for always being around and sharing, and of course, buying art and keeping the ball rolling. But other than that, I hope you guys all have a great evening. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you guys on the flip side.
Yeah, thanks a lot for being on tonight. And don't forget, too, you got that one mystery box left that may be getting raffled off, or we
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I don't know about that one yet. I haven't made my mind up because those big raffles, man, they're a pain in the butt to keep up with, and
Yep,
because and then you got notifications not working. So I got people claiming a spot, and then I don't know they claimed a spot because I didn't get a notification, and then I have to chase it down later and update it. So it's a lot of work on those damn big raffles,
it
uh,
is.
because when you're giving away, I mean, not giving away, but when you're doing a mystery box that has $450 worth of damn art in it, I mean, legit $450. Um, you're talking when you do a raffle for that kind of thing. And because I like doing raffles that have small entry fees, $10, $15,
Yeah,
$20, that kind of thing. You end up having to do like 30 damn spots to
yep,
just try to, break even on what's in the box. Now, when people buy them outright, I'm not concerned with breaking even. They're getting $150 extra worth of stuff over what they paid for it, and I'm cool with that. By only doing them once a year, maybe twice at the most, I'm not really losing anything on that front. But when you do the raffle version, you try to make sure you get full credit out of the raffle, so that helps kind of break even some of the other stuff. But yeah, I haven't made my mind up on yet. So if somebody wants to grab it, they're welcome to. I'll make a decision sometime this week if I'm going to raffle it, unless someone snatches it up first. But
yeah. So you guys heard that. If you want it, snatch it, because if not, at the end of the week or in the next week, he's going to be doing something with it. So you're going to
yep,
lose your chance on it.
yep, and it won't be back till sometime middle of next year, late next year. So
Cool. Well, thanks a lot for being on. I really appreciate it. I had a great show. If you want to hang out in the green room real quick while I say my goodbyes, I'll be back in a
yeah,
second.
yeah, I will. Thank you, man.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. We had a great show. It was fun talking with William Russell, the angry artist. All you Angernauts, thanks for coming and hanging out with my crowd. Definitely give me a like and a follow. I do this every Sunday and Tuesday. Sunday I will be on with Teresa Dunn. She is a poetry writer, so I'm gonna have her on, show off. She's got a new book coming out, and then Tuesday I will have author Michaela Jade on to talk about her new book that she's unveiling. So we're definitely going to keep rolling on through the rest of the year. So I appreciate you all guys all being here. I had a great time. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for joining in the chat. It always helps. And last but not least, Zeno Nanite Titan has less than 48 hours on it. So please share my post, share it with your friends. We're at 47%. I'm trying to make that last push to get it done. Whatever happens, happens. But I'm pushing this book hard, and I'm keeping up with it. So as always, Russ Explode Studios, projects that'll blow your mind. Everyone, have a great night, have a great week, and a Merry Christmas.